Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we'll be talking about the film The Marvels. Fun fact, this is Iman Vellani who portrays Kamala Khan's big screen debut, and her acting debut was playing the lead role in Miss Marvel. This film came out in 2023 and stars Brie Larson, Teyonah Parris, and Iman Vellani, and was directed by Decosta. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. The Marvels follows Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, and Monica Rambeau, whose light-based powers somehow get intertwined, forcing them to swap places when they use them. The villainous dar-benn comes in and wants to restore her homeland after it fell apart following Captain Marvel's destruction of the Supreme Intelligence, which garnered her the name the Annihilator. I'm a superhero movie fan, and I enjoyed the first Captain Marvel movie, so I was excited to see this movie. I remember seeing online when Captain Marvel came out how many misogynistic comments were made about Brie Larson, and I just have to say that the hate that she received for that movie was completely unwarranted, and I'm glad that that didn't let her stop doing, superhero movies and that she continues to be a great Captain Marvel because I enjoy her presence in the MCU. I'm glad that we got a sequel, and I'm glad that the title of this movie is The Marvels and not Captain Marvel 2, which may seem like something small, but I feel like the title The Marvels encapsulates the plot of this film more than a Captain Marvel 2 would have. Brie was great as Carol in this movie, who definitely gave vibes of someone who had been flying solo for so long that she not only didn't work well with others, but also seemed a little out of touch with how relationships work. It was interesting seeing her trying to make up for all of these mistakes and missing out on so much, and constantly making all these excuses as to why she was never around. I enjoyed how, in the end, she finally learned that being part of a team and opening up more may not be that bad. The last time we saw Monica was in WandaVision, and I have been waiting for her to return because I wanted to know what was the deal with her powers, and this movie expanded on that. I love how, even though she has been avoiding speaking with her Auntie Carol, she is forced to in this movie. She is an interesting character because she puts on a strong face, but deep down, she's hurt because she lost the two people that she cared about the most, her mom and her aunt. I love that we see her trying to control her powers more and how she uses her knowledge to further explore the limits of her own powers. At the end of the movie, Monica sacrifices herself to save the group, and I knew she wouldn't be dead and would end up in another universe, and I wonder which one, and I was shocked that it was one with the X-Men. I thought about how it would be cool to have the X-Men in another dimension instead of the current MCU dimension, just because they also take place in New York, and so it kind of would have been weird for them to just pop up and not have been involved in anything else, considering that they have been down the street from all the stuff that's been happening. So I'm glad that we get to see them in their own world, and we also get the return of Lashana Lynch, who I am always happy to see on screen. In this new universe that Monica is in, we meet Beast, who is portrayed by Kelsey Grammer, who was Beast in the Fox X-Men films. And Lashana Lynch, of course, she reprises her role as Maria Rambeau, who in the world that Monica comes from is her mother, who in this world, she is the superhero binary. And we've also seen her in Captain Marvel, obviously, and then we've seen her in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, where she played Captain Marvel. I'm interested to see how they get Monica back to her world and how the X-Men will come into play with that. Kamala was so funny, and she definitely stole the show and was a positive addition in this movie. And I'm glad that they introduced her to Captain Marvel and as well included her family, which was a big part of her story in the Miss Marvel show. She admires the heroes, and I love how her character freaks out in every encounter with the fellow heroes, and also is just trying to prove that she can be an Avenger as well. One thing I was confused about that the film answers is if she has powers without the bangles. And at the end, when her bangles get stolen, we find out that she does have powers without the bangles. But the bangles did unlock her abilities, which was mentioned in her show. Something that has been speculated for a while since we started introducing younger superheroes is a Young Avengers movie. And the end of this movie finally showed the beginning of potentially this team being created. We get a cameo from Kate Bishop, aka Haley Steinfeld, who was in the Hawkeye show, and Kamala comes out of the shadow just like Nick Fury did in Iron Man 1 when he talked to Iron Man about the Avengers Initiative. And she has a file on Kate and also mentions Ant-Man's daughter, which give hints at what the roster will most likely be. It made sense that Kamala would be the person kind of creating this team, considering she's the only one who has met Nick Fury so far, and she longs to be on the Avengers, and so I'm sure that he is helping her out build this team. I look forward to what's to come with this team and what they'll have to face in the future. I love seeing the three Marvels work together. Monica and Carol had a rough past, and even though Kamala is young, I think she definitely helped them understand the importance of family and helped them work through some of their problems. It was cool to see them sharing memories so they could be on the same page and also training together so they can figure out the best way to use their powers as a group. I feel like Samuel L. Jackson just got to have fun as Nick Fury this time, which made for some good comedic moments. He's usually so serious, but in this role, he is serious but also has seen too much stuff to be shocked by anything and isn't really just stressed anymore. I loved him interacting with Kamala's family and how much he cares about Carol and Monica. Goose was a star from Captain Marvel that I didn't expect to love so much, but I did, and I'm glad that they brought Goose back in this film. It was so cool to see Goose have little kids in this film and how they were all wreaking havoc, but then became a solution to a big problem when they were trying to evacuate everyone. Seeing Goose kind of made me want to get a pet cat, even though I'm not going to, but I thought about it. I love that we get to go to so many different planets in this film. I mean that Earth is fun and all, but there was just more out there to see, and I'm glad that we get to see more. The one thing I was wondering about was did they close those like dimensional holes from the other planets or what? Because those were a big problem, and I'm like, are the planets just destroyed now? They explained Monica closing the one that would have affected Earth, but I wish they would have elaborated a little bit more on if the other ones were closed or what happened to those planets after dar-benn left them. I wish we got more on the Kree and Skrull and spend a little bit more time exploring their beef and figuring out what could be a possible solution for that. I think that's been a big part of the MCU since Captain Marvel in 2019, but I still feel like there is so much we don't know about them, but they keep coming up in other Marvel projects as, maybe a small part or like in Secret Invasion, they were a bigger part. But I really want to know more about their story and like their history because I know it's so much bigger, but right now I feel like we're just getting like bits and pieces, and there's just still so much we don't know about them. This is not a complaint of the movie itself per se, but more of the timeline that Marvel has with releasing their movies and TV shows. The most recent time any of these characters was mentioned was in Miss Marvel, which came out about a year ago. And it's interesting that they wouldn't have released this movie right after because it just seems like that would have made more sense. Like, we really haven't heard much about what Carol was doing since Endgame, and then we haven't heard anything about Monica since WandaVision, and Kamala is the most recent, and the end of her show literally leads into this movie. I think that when they ended Miss Marvel, this movie should have came out right after because it seemed like that would have been the perfect time while this story was still fresh in people's mind. And the ending of her show is literally kind of like the beginning of this movie. So it just would have been perfect to close the gap and have those be a little closer to each other. My favorite part of this movie is the first time that they switch and they all end up in the middle of a fight because of where Carol is. The way they transitioned from different locations and characters was cool to see, and seeing them having to adapt when they moved to a new place. I loved how everyone was slightly confused too at what was going on, but knew that they had to fight to survive and protect Nick Fury and Kamala's family. The Marvels was a lot of fun, and I was laughing throughout the movie. I like seeing the three leads bounce off of each other, and I thought that they had good chemistry. I think Nia Decosta did a great job directing this film. They got straight to the point and added some fun into the film, as well as some cool action scenes. Thank you for watching my video. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, please do so you can keep up to date with more of my videos. But besides that, everyone stay safe, have fun, and goodbye.